hosts, Calvin and Garland. The B.I.G show is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Here are your hosts, Calvin and Garland.
It's the big show, and we are back again. We've been gone for a while because we took some vacation time.
Yeah.
We had to do some things. So, but we're back. I'm Calvin. That's my guy, Garland.
Calvin has sommelier training.
You can see us live on YouTube right now. You can also hear us on other podcast platforms. And if you have Spotify, you'll be able to actually see our beautiful faces, which you haven't seen since it looked like August the 3rd was our last recording. So, if you stretch it out.
I got a little sun. I ain't as chocolate as Calvin, but I'm kind of like just a level above light. I'm a level above John Legend or something. I don't know. Nah. Yo, Calvin had to go get his. Calvin had to travel out the country to get his sommelier certification.
Hey man, it was.
He wanted the international. It was.
It was. So we went over to Europe. We went to Italy. We were in Rome for a week, and it was record degree temperatures.
Wow.
There was no day below 98 degrees.
Oh my God.
Hitting 100 degrees. And if you've ever
you thought you were leaving that at home.
Exactly. If you've ever been to Rome, it's a lot of walking because it's a lot of sightseeing.
Right.
I was sweating through all my shirt. Man, I had my gear laid out. I'm over in Europe. I'm wearing the button downs. Yeah. I'm wearing the button downs every day. I'm fitting in with the people. I was like, ain't gonna be just no t-shirts and shit. I'm rocking the buttons down, man. Some of them pictures I got, you can see sweat all through. Especially when we went to the Vatican, because in the Vatican you should wear pants, to be respectful.
So I can't come up in there in short shorts.
I had on my fresh little navy blue khakis and my shirt. I'm looking all fresh in the hotel room where the air conditioned. Man, by the time we got to the Sistine Chapel, plus it was crowded in there, and it was crazy. But Italy's great. If you ever get a chance to go to Italy, we went to Amalfi, Florence. We went a few places in Italy, and I learned some Italian. Buonasera, salve.
Look at him, y'all.
Prega.
Look at him, y'all. He's showing off.
All I'm
Ciao,
saying
Bella.
all I'm saying is just like good morning, hello, and all that.
Did you know the other ones like cannoli and pizza?
Nigga, and pasta. Lasagna,
spaghetti,
and vino,
wine, spaghetti.
Getting all that. So it was a great experience. So if you get a chance to go. So what's up with you, Garland? How things been going?
Man, speaking about wine, I went to my first wine festival a couple weeks ago. A friend of mine's who lives out here. I grew up with him. We were best friends in high school, still very good friends. Him and his wife, who was my wife's cousin, they actually met in our wedding. They live out here, and it was a wine and jazz festival in Havre de Grace, Harford County, Maryland, and it was for a former colored elementary school. They're turning it into a museum, and so this was a fundraiser. Eric Robeson was the music guest, and they had a couple of local artists. And everything, and so he texted me. He was like, "Yeah, we got some tickets, whatever." His mother has some connections with the people who are doing the fundraising, so we were sitting like right next to the stage in the VIP. And your boy was, I wasn't doing nothing big. I was just sipping a little Moscato, I had a little red, whatnot. But your boy was like, "Oh, this is how these wine festivals go." They had a whole bunch of food trucks out there, bunch of old people. I had my cigars, got a chance to hit a little Perdomo and champagne edition and stuff. And I had a good time.
That's it. So let me. Okay. So for anybody listening, that's not how wine festival go, because you don't get the VIP and get sitting next to the stage. You're usually somewhere out in the back in the middle of the lawn. See what I'm saying? No, he ain't just go to no. He made it seem like, and as soon as we get off of here, he gonna start playing Kendrick Lamar. They Not Like Us. Like he over here, you know.
A minor.
He sipping wine with Paula, being like, Paula, they not like us. They not like us.
You know, I was looking at the people on the other side of the fence that wasn't under the tent, that wasn't next to the stage. And I was like, oh wow, that's how the other half lives.
These wine festivals. You over in a wine festival playing Republican conservative and whatnot, and all the liberals are sitting out asking for some handouts.
Bro, and so as we were preparing, I was like, honey, do I need to bring chairs? She was like, no, we in VIP. I was like, okay, because I know Wine Fest people got tents, they bring your chairs.
We lugging
stuff. Yeah. And so I'm like, dude, I was like, we got VIP? Yeah, it's just, you know, I felt like I was in the Martin, Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Like I was at Chocolate City and they gave me a VIP. And he was like, yeah, no, we got the VIP. It's already table there. It was unlimited drinks under the tent. So, you know, they had beer, wine, you know, some mixed drinks and whatnot. And so, yeah, you know, I had the little thing on my wrist and we boom, right on in.
Most wine festivals, number one, you got to wait in line. You damn near moving in because you need a U-Haul, and you standing in line holding your glass out trying to get samples from the little places, and they only give you a little dab here and there.
Not for me.
But not this one. This one said, I got a wristband, my own chair, and unlimited splurges up in this bitch. And I'm kicking it with Eric Roberson.
And bro, they had on the table, they had like some moist cloth so I could rub my face because it's a little warm. You know, you can rub cool your face off. That was like had a eucalyptus smell to it or lavender. Yeah. VIP. I don't think I can go to another wine fest and sit out in no field. I had to sit in VIP because VIP. And we got food tickets too. And so we necessarily even had to pay for food because we have food tickets that we could use at the food trucks. Yeah.
All right, let's move on, y'all. Because I can see right now. I can see right now. Kendrick Garland is gonna get on my nerves today and shit.
You know,
treating me like Drake and shit. Let's move on.
All right, man. We're gonna talk a little college football. We're gonna talk some pros, some people in the pros. Their feelings is being hurt. So we're gonna talk a little bit about your boy Tua Tagovailoa or whatever his last name is. Your boy Ant. I don't know what he's smoking on and stuff. He's still making these crazy comments after the Olympics. Let's start with some baseball. And so the playoff races are heating up across the league. The race for the playoffs are heating up in the American League. A half a game or a full game separates the top three teams, the Orioles, Yankees, and Guardians for the number one seed. And the wild card races are just as tight. You have the Royals, Twins, and Astros all within a game or a half a game of each other. And in the National League, only one game is separating the Dodgers, Phillies, and Brewers, with the Padres, Diamondbacks, who are very close on the Dodgers in the West, and Braves, despite all the injuries, battling for wild card spots. And so between the teams in the American League that are battling for the number one spot, Calvin, the our O's, the Yankees, the Guardians, who do you think is going to end up with the number one seed?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. The Guardians have just been there all year. The Orioles surged the beginning of the season, and since the All-Star break, actually before the All-Star break, we've just been up and down. I believe we have a losing record since the All-Star break. The Yankees were struggling at the beginning of the year, and they're starting to get into their stride. They've been a little down, which has kept the Orioles in that race, but the Yankees are starting to kill now. With the health now of Judge, and you still got Soto healthy. They added Jazz Chisholm. Like their lineup is just killer. I believe Judge and Soto hit home runs last night. They're just on a tear right now. It's tough. I'm I'm going to believe in my Orioles that they can come down the stretch and win. They do got a tough matchup. They got 4 games with Houston this weekend. Then they got to go to LA. It's going to be pretty tough. But I got faith in the O's that they'll grab that #1 seed again in the American League.
I'm worried about the Orioles pitching. We've talked about this. Although they did go out and they made some trades to get starting pitching at the trade deadline, they really need, and they picked up some bullpen arms. They just haven't produced. I mean, well, Steve Rogers has it, and the Sir Anthony, he's given up those walk-off home runs the last 2 games. I don't think they've won a series since the first series out of the All-Star break with Texas, the Rangers. Outside of that, they've like won 1 of 2, or they split a couple series. They split the one with the Red Sox most recently at home, and so this team is either feast or famine. Also, offensively, it's either home runs or it's no runs. We saw that in the closeout game with the Mets yesterday. You know, they were being no hit all the way up to about the 6th inning. They scored those 2 runs off a home run. And then you get to the top of the 8th, you have bases loaded, no outs, and you can only get 1 run across. That's
on a sacrifice at that.
On a sacrifice at that. That's horrible. And you had your best hitters up. You had Gunnar up. You had Adley Rutschman up. And so you got to produce in those situations. And they could not get more than just 1 run across. And so their bats are struggling, but it's a good thing because everybody else is struggling too. You know, a lot of teams, they're winning the game, they're losing 2, their pitching falling apart. And so Jazz Chisholm, he started off great with the Yankees. Now he's injured. You had other players injured in the American League. And so it's tough. I think the Orioles losing Zach Eflin to, at least they're saying early September, maybe September the 2nd at the earliest. You know, you got a lot of people we're waiting to get back. We're going to get back our third baseman. We're going to get back Mateo, hopefully. We get back some pitchers and everything. You know, hopefully Westberg could come back and he could swing the bat like he was doing before he got injured. But, you know, between now and then, like you said, it's a tough road ahead. They've got to just stay consistent. I mean, they got to win a couple of these series. I'm not talking about sweeps, but we need some 2-1s out of these series. We need some 3-1s or something like that. We can't just go in and lose series 1-2 and those things. We need to keep on the winning side. But yeah, I think it's just whoever's going to prevail at the end. I think it's just going to be very tight up to the end of the season. Now, up in the National League, we're looking at the Dodgers, Phillies, and Brewers. Who you thinking about in the National League?
Yeah, the Dodgers have seemed to gotten everybody back. The Dodgers got what the Orioles want. Everybody's coming off the injured list. They still got Ohtani constantly doing what he does. You got Mookie that just came back and killing still. I got the Dodgers taking the #1 spot, and it'll be, hopefully we're looking at a World Series matchup after this Houston Astros series.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers too, but you know, like I said, the Dodgers always get to the playoffs. They've won 100 games the last 2-3 years and have gone out in the wild card each year. And yeah, Ohtani, it's just amazing what he's doing. Yes, they're getting back some of their players. They're getting back to pitching as well. So it's all coming back together. The Phillies jumped out there big. You know, a lot of people just thought the Phillies were going to run away with it. They've come back to earth since the All-Star break. They've kind of struggled, and the Brewers have kind of gotten up there. Now, if there was a dark horse team in both leagues, who would you pick out of those, you know, playoff teams? We got Royals, Twins, Astros in the American League. We got Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves in the National League. Royals, Twins, and Astros in the American. Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves in the National. If there was a dark horse team, some team that, you know, you better watch out for them, what team would you pick out of that?
So I'm looking at Houston. Houston got Verlander off of the IR. He lost it yesterday, but he's still Justin Verlander. So I'm looking at the Astros, and plus they got the pedigree and the experience to do it. I'm looking at them in the American League, and I'd be looking at San Diego in the National League. They have the best record since the All-Star break. They did lose yesterday in terrible fashion, but they've been killing. Machado's been killing. The pitching has been killing. And not only that, they've been playing so well. Just to goes to show you that they're still just in second place in their own division. Just to go to show you how that lead was, they made up for that lead. They come and shortened the lead on them. But I would take Houston and San Diego as the 2 dark horse teams.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Astros. The Astros, to me, is baseball's equivalent of the Kansas City Chiefs. They got the experience. They're always there. You can never count them out. They got good players. They got titles under, although some people say some of those titles are cheap, that they cheated to get them. But the last title just one. Just one. The last title that they got was not cheating. And so we can go ahead and forgive them for that. And, they got the players, they got the pitching, and they can turn it on at the right time. They've shown that in the last couple years. I think the Padres as well, they're playing very well. I would not be surprised to see like the Braves. The Braves are always there. I think, although they third baseman just got injured, Riley, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured hand. He got hit by a pitch. They already lost the shortstop. They lost some of their pitching, but they're still managing to be in there. And so, I think baseball, this is a great time. They got what they really wanted. They got people excited about the game. All of the teams are close in terms of playoffs. And so, you really have to keep on paying attention. Normally by this time, there are teams they way ahead. You're not paying attention until the playoffs start. But right now, everybody is contending. And so that's been good for baseball. Hopefully they can keep on building on that. Now, thank you. Now, what's your boy Ant Edwards smoking on, Calvin? He got that good. He got that super loud or something. I don't know. I want to know what dispensary he at, because the 2-time NBA All-Star and recent Olympic gold medalist was recently interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, and when asked to compare today's players versus those of past years, he stated, they say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skills back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill. So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, oh my God. But now everybody has skill. And so how come the generation Y and Z players, they don't respect the older generation players, particularly those of the 70s and the 80s?
Yeah, so it's the same thing that we'll get when every generation comes. You almost had to be there. Now I'm shocked at Ant, only because you want him to be more of a student of the game when you're at the level that he's at. Now, granted, he's only 22, but when you're at the level he's at, you would think that he'd be more of a student of the game, because actually what he's saying is the complete opposite. It's the players today that don't have the skills that the players back then had. The ball is not going through the center like it used to. You used to literally have to run plays. You will have to slow it down. You would have to set more than one picks, double picks. You'd have to, you'd have to account for somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon and his passing and his scoring. Somebody like a David Robinson along with a Tim Duncan. So not just Michael Jordan. Don't forget you got a Dennis Rodman that can rebound, a rebound specialist. You got guys that I don't even know what he's thinking about. Charles Barkley was probably one of the best power forward. These guys look at Charles Barkley now and think he's just a clown. Charles Barkley was a motherfucking monster on the court.
One of the best forwards, 6'4", rebounding monster.
And could score. I don't understand why someone like Ant. I would expect that from somebody like, what's the guy that played for Canada, the light-skinned guy that they didn't like, Dylan.
Corey Dillon. No, is it Corey Dillon?
No, it's not Corey Dillon. It's he played with oh my gosh, they clowned him out the league, basically. Not out the league, but they clowned him off the team. I can't remember licensing dude. But anyway, I would expect somebody like him to make a statement like that. Dylan Brooks. I would expect somebody like him to make a statement like that. And especially you go over to the Olympics, you get to play with a guy like KD, who is skill. You get to play with a guy like LeBron, who is skill. Those are your throwbacks to the past generations, guys that have studied the game, guys guys that do know and do respect the players of the past. So yeah, it's just kind of, I'll blame it on his youth. He still says that at 25 and 26. Then I'm kind of like, yeah, he's needs some medication.
But Calvin, these kids have more access to information than than our generation. They were born with the internet. We saw some of these people play. We didn't. I mean, unless you had cable, you didn't necessarily see these people play all the time. You just saw the big teams play all the time. But to me, I agree with you. It's a lack of education. You can't tell me that you are a player and you don't know about the past and Dr. J and Kareem and all of these great Magic, Bird, all of these great players. I agree with you that I think today's players think skill is they can dribble between their legs 50 times and just pull up. Yeah, because it's either all threes or it's a dunk or it's a drive. It's nothing else. I mean, these guys had mid-range game, they had power, they had fundamentals that were very strong, and they did it in a team concept. And so I just get confused because I think the level of disrespect, especially from players who this is your profession, you should know about the past. If you're a baseball player, you should know about Hank Aaron. You should know about Barry Bonds. You should know about those players that came before you. You should never come out your mouth and say, "Oh, no, those guys they were playing against plumbers. They didn't know what they were doing." Or the football players, "Oh, they were playing against all slow white guys." Come on, you should have respect for OJ and Jim Brown and all of these other players. And so, but in basketball, there's just this level of what have you done for me lately? And that's from the Gilbert Arenases to everyone. It's just, to me, it's just a lack of education and ignorance to think that your generation is the greatest generation. Now, I will say this. You have more specialized skill training now. And so, you do have guys that probably have better left hand than they had in 1970. They were staying with their right hand. Okay, so there are some things that, maybe they're doing a little bit better now. The game has changed. You have, better training, better nutrition, all of those things. But to say that, those guys in that era that were putting up very solid or above average or superior numbers are bums or didn't have any skill, to me that you haven't watched any clips. You need to go ahead and dig up some YouTube and watch some games and get yourself together. But hey, he's 22. We'll let it off to young ignorance. And he says this thing in here about Kobe. I think a lot of people got to realize Kobe didn't come in the league and just tear up. It took Kobe a couple years to get himself together and to get into his game. I mean, let's not forget those shots he was missing in the playoffs when he was in the second year of his career, the third year against Utah, when they had Shaq. I mean, yes, he was exceptional coming out of high school, but Kobe didn't come into the league averaging 30.
Yeah, Kobe didn't come into the league like LeBron James. Kobe came off the bench.
Exactly.
Kobe playing behind Nick Van Exel's, Eddie Jones.
And Eddie Jones.
Yeah. Kobe didn't come off. So, I think Kobe just ascended to greatness. But why did Kobe ascend to greatness? Because his dad played and he studied the game. Kobe is an absolute student of the game. If you look at a team like, one of the teams that we always herald right now is the Denver Nuggets. Why? Because if you look at them, they're almost like a throwback team. They got a center that they feed the ball through, and then they got wing players that can hit the jumper. Like they play a half-court game. They're not. The aberration is Steph. Steph can run down, get the ball anywhere, and just shoot the three. He's the aberration, and that's why he's probably the greatest shooting ball player ever in the history of the game. But they're not all like that. But now I'm going to give Ant a slight pass, only because I will admit. So I'm starting in the not even quite the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird era. I'm a little bit after that, where we get the bad boy Pistons coming into the Michael Jordan era. And I say that to say there's always talk about how Bill Russell George Gervin, who did play with Michael Jordan a little bit, but in his heyday, George Gervin was the man.
Nice, man.
Wes Unseld, guys like that I can sit here and say, I didn't go back and actually watch clips of them, even though we didn't grow in the internet era. We do have it now where you could see clips of them, and more than clips, you can actually see games. I didn't watch those guys. I didn't go back and watch some guys. So the only thing I can compare with Bill Russell is just to say that, hey, he has more rings than everyone else. Same thing with Wilt Chamberlain, even the beginning of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career. I can't sit here and say that I would rank them over starting at my bad boy Pistons, even though they probably should be. So I can give them a little pass. The difference is I'm not sitting here and saying, well, they ain't had no skill. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I mean, and the thing about those, that 90s era you talking about, it was rough on offenses, man. I mean, some of those final games when the Lakers were in their heyday and they lost that finals to the Pistons. I'm not talking about the first Bad Boys. I'm talking about when Kobe and Shaq were together. They were going for 3 feet, and they had Karl Malone and Gary Payton on the team. A couple of those games was like 89-79. I mean, they were not high scoring games. We used to 100 points. People all this. That's a regular thing now. You're getting a lot of score, man. You go back and look at some of them games. Them finals games was like under 100 points. They were playing defense that hard, and you didn't have that many skilled shooters. And so I think sometimes
ask Ralph Sampson how bad he got beat up by the Boston Celtics when they were playing. They just ask him how bad he got beat up. I mean,
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but yeah.
But come on, Aunt, chill out.
Yeah, come on, yeah, chill. Brian Flores said mean things to me. Your boy Tua. Brian Flores said mean things to me. Now, during an interview on the Dan Le Batard show, when asked about his relationship with former Dolphin head coach Brian Flores, Tua Tagovailoa, he stated that, to put it in the simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck at what you did and that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you're the best fit for this. How would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? Now, when asked about Tua's comments, Flores responded, look, I'm human. So that hit me in a way that wasn't positive for me. But at the same time, I've got to use that and say, hey, how can I grow from that? How can I be better? And that's really where I'm at from that standpoint. Do I feel like that's me? No, but how can I grow from that situation and create a world where that's not the case, that anyone says that about Brian Flores? And so, can old school coaches exist in sports anymore, Calvin? Because when you think about sports, you have what I call the old school coach. That's the screaming coach. That's the cussing every second, in your face, dressing you down coach. I mean, the coach that's just on you every second. I guess one size doesn't fit anymore for all players. That's obvious here in this situation. When you heard this, what did you think about Tua, and what did you think about Flores' response?
Well, first, we're going to blame everybody in Hawaii that's ever coached Tua, because clearly none of them coaches have ever said to him, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
They've never said that to him.
No.
And which I find very curious. Like, wait,
no.
But I will say, the one thing that you have to do as a coach, whether it's on a professional level, whether it's on an amateur level, the one thing you do have to do is secure your relationship with the coach. Let's talk about some reality. Reality is that Tua was not that good coming into the NFL. He just was not. Maybe the personalities didn't match. Maybe there's a possibility that Flores actually just did not like Tua. It happens. Sean Payton does not like Russell Wilson and got his ass out of there as quick as he could. It happens. But you do have to build some sort of I'm here for you type of communication and relationship. And then once you establish that, then you can start expanding to the, hey, you're my guy, but that shit was wrong. You know what I mean? You got to kind of build that first. So I will say that maybe he didn't build that relationship with him, but come on, Tua. You are a professional football player making millions of dollars. If you can't take the criticism on this level where you should be getting it, where you cannot be coddled, then something has happened in the past. That's why I said his coaches in Hawaii failed him all the way up from Pee Wee League through college. They failed him somewhere because someone must have told him that his shit does not stink. And like we always say, for everything in our lives, there's levels to this shit. You might be the best in Pee Wee, but then when you get up to the next level, there's going to be even better players. You might be the best there. And when you get up to the college level, there's going to be even better players. You may be one of the best there. But when you get to the professional level, now you're with the best of the best, and you may not be one of the best there. And he absolutely was not. He turned into a better player. He's still not one of the best. He's about to get paid like he's one of the best. Right. That's just what the market dictates. But come on.
I think when I think about the best coaches, it's like parenting if you have multiple children. It's like parenting if you have multiple children. When I was a young parent, I thought you could treat one child like you treat the other. Like I can raise my voice at one child, but the other one I can't raise my voice at, because if I raise my voice at her, she's going to fall apart. There's one that I could discipline in a certain way, or there's one I could tell, just go do it, and I could trust that they go do it. I don't have to look over their shoulder to make sure it's done. But there might be another where I got to follow them to make sure they follow every step that I give them. And I think that's just the way that you have to approach players now. There's some players that love that motivation of a coach being on them. It pushes them. They feel that the coach cares about them and they're motivating and challenging them. And then you have players that they shut down, man. Why is he always yelling? Why is he always on me? It's always this, it's always that. You got to be able to give a balance to that. And sometimes I think Flores recognized he was kind of out of balance in his approach in some ways. It was kind of rumored that he did not want Tua. I think the coaching staff wanted Herbert in that draft, and the owner overruled that and took Tua. And so, he didn't get his guy. And to me, it's also something about the coaches coming out of the Belichick tree. When you win a lot of Super Bowls, you can probably be like that. You could be a little jerky and you could be an ass at some certain times and all, and you get away with it. You get a pass because you're a winner. But then when you're not winning at that clip, it becomes a problem. And I really think that's what happened with Flores. It's amazing that that Tua would even bring it up, but I guess it was a good question, and he was open, and he just starts talking about there's theories out there that he's trying to set Flores up, and because Flores is suing the league and all of these particular things.
He's just been waiting to get that off his chest.
He's been waiting.
He just been waiting.
He's been holding that shot. He's been holding that shot for a minute, and he finally got it off his chest. And I think Flores, I loved his response. That, hey, at that time, I just wasn't doing, I didn't get the balance that I needed to give to it. And in retrospect, I probably could have done a little better. I wish him the best with his future. But yeah, I think those coaches that have that balance, I always like when you go to youth games and you see the coach screaming all the time, I always say to myself, okay, when's he going to coach? Because coaching is teaching. And so after a while, after you do all that screaming, do the players actually know what to do? Do they know how to respond? Have you worked on that skill? And I think that's the balance. And that you need sometimes. And obviously, Tua needed that, and he didn't get that from Flores.
Tua was sitting back on his dreams and nightmare shit. He was like, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? he was waiting for that shit.
He was waiting to fire that off. Like, how do I feel about Flores? It's funny that you should ask.
Exactly. He started that off like, nigga.
I ain't never like homie. He's always hating on me. Every time I try to do something, he was always on me, hating on the brother, talking about I shouldn't be here and all that. I mean, I know that was 2 years ago, but I'm just saying.
He said fuck Flores, fuck Flowers, fuck Zay Flowers, fuck Lamar Jackson, and fuck the Baltimore Ravens too.
How they get into it? They catching strays.
He just went down the line. We beat the shit out of him last year, so he just went down the line.
I'm glad he didn't get that Giants job. I was hating on the backside. I'm glad I wish if they would have talked to me, I'd have let them know.
And another thing can be true. Flores just was not that great of a head coach at that time.
Yeah. I think they looked at the record. Tua won just as many games under Flores as he's won under McDaniel.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You look good when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert on your offense. That makes you look a whole lot better and not get screamed at when you don't have any of those weapons those first couple years. And so
and a little miniature coach that can't find socks in his size, so he just decides not to wear any at all.
To me, McDaniel's got to be on a high seat this year. They've got to go further in the playoffs than they've done great in the regular season. Then they flame out towards the end, and they get in the playoffs, and they're one and dones. And so we'll see what happens with them as the season progresses. But we're going to talk some football next week in terms of teams and predictions, and so hold on for that. Are you ready for some football? College football, that is. And so college football is back. It kicks off this weekend, Calvin. And so we're about to enter into a phase that a lot of us love. It's going to be football every weekend from now through the end of the year. Yeah. And so football is back. College football is leading the way. And so there are a couple big questions going into the season. First question is, which is the best conference, the Big Ten or the SEC?
Whoa, what a tough question. Because they call him my twin, because Mike Locksley and my Maryland Terrapins are in the Big Ten. I want to say the Big Ten, but I don't know. Michigan just went undefeated and won it all last year. I don't know.
They ain't going undefeated this year.
Yeah, they're not going to do it this year, but we talking about right now, right at this moment. They are the reigning champs. I'm going to still have to go SEC. Like it's something about that Southern football. And even though Saban has retired, you still got that Alabama, or you still got that Georgia. I believe Georgia's ranked number 1 this year.
Yeah, Georgia.
Yeah, I'm gonna go SEC.
Texas is in the mix as well. Texas is in the SEC. Yeah, the SEC just top to bottom. Even the bad teams are pretty good, and the South Carolinas and the Tennessees of the world, the Auburns of the world, they're pretty good as well. And so the Floridas. And so, they're just top to bottom real good. I like the Big Ten, but, outside of Michigan and Ohio State, I don't trust those teams coming from the Pac-12. I mean, UCLA doesn't put fear in anyone's heart. USC, I think, this is a make or break year for the head coach out there. He had to go out and get a defensive coordinator. He lost his Heisman Trophy quarterback. We have to see what they do this year. There was a lot of scoring, but no defense for USC. And so, Washington, they lose their main players and their head coach as they're coming into the Big Ten as well. And so, in Maryland, man, I don't even know why you mentioned Mike Locksley outside of him looking like you. Maryland's, oh my God. Anyway.
We don't look alike.
I remember the glory days of Bobby Ross and Ralph Friedgen, even before that, Jerry Claiborne. And so I remember the glory days way back when. But yeah, they ain't had no glory days in quite some time. They're going to start off winning these first couple games, and then they're going to start playing the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Michigan States of the world.
Wait a minute. They ended last season strong. Now, granted, they went to a bowl game where the other team basically didn't have.
They win the Tylenol Bowl or something. Were they in the toilet bowl?
They won. First of all, it was the Tidy Bowl, and they won that bowl.
The little man was in the boat. Flush them.
They won that.
Did they pour blue toilet water on Mike Locksley? They
won against an SEC team.
That team wasn't even playing. I think half the players left that team to go to the draft, because now if you ain't in the playoffs or you ain't going to a major bowl, everybody quits.
Yeah. They ain't won it. None of them played.
We 7-9. We ain't making no playoffs. I quit.
I forgot who they played, but it was it's a perennial powerhouse that didn't have anybody.
Was it Auburn or somebody?
Was it Auburn?
Oh no. But yeah, Maryland. They went for that money to go to the Big Ten to get that money, and they just lost their identity. They're an ACC team. That's where their history is. They should have stayed their butt in the ACC. But nobody outside of basketball, nobody cares about the ACC anymore. And so, but that's another conversation. Do you like the new playoff format? It's 12 teams that will be implemented this season.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them because it's going to go up every year. I'm just waiting for them to get to NCAA basketball tournament status so I can actually fill out a bracket.
So when the playoffs going to start in October?
It's going to be called January Madness. They're going to start playing in November. They're going to have 5 regular season games, and then they're going to go straight to the tournament. January Madness. Every year it's going to jump to 16 within the next 2 years. You already know that. It's going to jump to 32 within the next 10 years. They might as well just go ahead.
It's crazy because we talked about this, and I think one of our past episodes I was talking about how they're talking about the possible formation of super leagues for college football. That you're going to have these Power 5 schools. They're going to form their own leagues. It's going to kind of be like a professional type college level teams, players. There's going to be a payment structure for them, all of that. And we're going to see the end of conferences in terms of, Big Ten, ACC, SEC, and you'll have these power conferences that be based on level of play and all of those things. And I think that's eventually, I think maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, you'll see college football at least be very similar to professional football. I think we're going to have conferences. We're going to have, several teams in each conference, and it's going to have like a format like professional football. So we'll see what happens. And then finally, is your boy subprime Deion Sanders, is he on the hot seat in Colorado? Deion's been having a little issue with the press. I think the bloom is off the rose, Calvin. I mean, he out there beefing with the local press, people trying to ask him questions, and he asking them what station they with or what network. Guy was like, oh, CBS. He was like, oh, no, I don't talk to CBS. He's like, hold on, I'm with the local CBS. He's like, I don't care. I don't talk to CBS. He out there snapping on people. Now, the subprime, subprime ain't as smiley and slapping backs and kissing babies as he was last season. What's going on with homeboy? Is he on the hot seat? Also, they did a poll of the Big 12 coaches, and who was the worst Big 12 coach? It was Deion by a landslide, and so he's a little upset about that as well. Is Deion on the hot seat?
He's not on the hot seat. They're going to give him at least one more year because they have not seen the money generated in that program that they saw last year with Deion, and it'll carry over again. He may not win any motherfucking games, but he's standing 9 toes down, and Deion is going to go ahead.
I thought he had 8. I think they took off the pinky and the one that was next to it. Eddie Murphy shot both of those toes off.
Dion got one more year after this year to prove something. Now, it may not even be a full year, but he got one more year after this year.
That nigga ass burning.
College, college sports is all about money. He's made more money for that program with them little bit of wins last year than they've had since Cordell Stewart and
he better make it.
Who was he throwing to? I forgot who he was throwing to.
Oh my God, Cordell. He was throwing to himself. But the guy Westbrook, he went to play for
Brian Westbrook.
Brian Westbrook. Yeah. I'll say this. He got to make a bowl game this year. He's got to make a bowl game.
Yes.
He's got to make a bowl game. And if he doesn't make a bowl game, they're gonna start looking at them losses. We put a lot of money into this program. We're paying you a lot of money. You've raided the portal. We had to get all this NIL set up. They've got to win more than 4 games this year, and they've got to get to a bowl game. Even if it's the Tidy Bowl and they're playing Maryland, they got to get there.
Oh, they're gonna lose if they play Maryland.
Right.
Maryland is a bowl game veterans. They losing to Maryland bowl game stalwarts.
Yeah, so Dion, we'll see what he does. Ed Reed was out there today or something. I saw a clip of Ed Reed in a Colorado Buffaloes hat. You know, he got Warren Sapp on the staff and all that stuff. Warren Sapp looking crazy out there, and yeah. Dion, man. I'm telling you, it's getting bizarre and bizarre. It's bizarrer and bizarrer. I'm telling you, Dion better win. All right. Did you have a top 10? If not, I got a music corner.
I do. I got a top 10. Let me get my little list out here. I got a top 10. And this is just sitting in thinking about the Olympics. And you know how in the Olympics they had trampoline and breakdancing, and so I was just wondering. I just looked around and was like, let me talk about how there are some crazy ass sports now. So let's talk about 10 of the craziest sports in the world. And tell me if you've ever played any of these, Garland, because some of these look like they right up your alley.
Is right up your alley. They got a pinochle one.
So this is one that we see pretty often on TV every now and then. ESPN will show some clips of it. Cheese rolling. You know how they take that roll of cheese in England and roll it down the hill, and these motherfuckers just chase it and start tumbling down
the hill, chasing after this cheese.
So we see that often. Let me get another one.
But I ain't never rolled down from hill for some cheese.
Let me get another one that we could see as common. So there's this sport called botiashi, and this is where the Asian team, they get in the pole. You know how they got somebody at the top of the pole, and the other team runs and jumps on them and tries to knock down their pole. You've never seen that on TV?
Is this the Olympic version of Buck, the game that Bill Cosby and them used to play on Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids?
I don't know, but it's wild. They be climbing on each other's backs. They got to hold on to this pole, and the other team climbs on them and tries to knock down the pole.
Buck.
This is wild. Wow.
Buck.
Now let's start getting into some shit that is rather dangerous, and this is where Garland would come in with his extreme sport, and y'all know Garland's extreme sport. There's fireball soccer, and it's exactly what you think it is. The ball is on fire, and they kick the soccer ball around. These are real sports, and they wear skirts when they're doing it, or kilts, I guess you call it.
Kilt?
But they're long dresses. Yeah, them bitches can just whoosh, go up in flames, but they kick this motherfucking fireball around. It's a real sport. Another real sport. These are real sports now. Another real sport. These are real sports. I'm not bullshitting.
I never say that.
I'm not bullshitting.
These are not real sports.
This is not one of them where I'll be like, guess which one ain't real? No, these shits are all real. There's chess boxing, and it's exactly what it is. They box. No, they box and then they sit down and play chess. They go back.
Come on, man. This list is not real.
These are real sports.
This list is not real.
I'm not bullshitting you. These are real sports.
So how long did they box?
For a round. They box around and they play.
And then they play chess for a round.
Yes. These are real sports. Real sports.
That sounds like something they would do in a barbershop, like a slap box, and then like, yo, after we slap box for 2 minutes.
They got gloves and headgear on. They're actually boxing. This is real boxing. Shin kicking. They hold on to each other. They pad their shins up and they just shin kick the shit out of one another.
We used to do that. That's some bullshit. You like he used to
I'm not bullshitting. I'm not bullshitting. Camel jumping. Niggas is running and jumping over camels. They lining camels up and they jumping. I'm not bull. Look them up.
Are they jumping over the hump?
Well, probably the.
Or they going from the back and they.
No.
Long or sideways? They're doing
sideways. They sideways, but the humps kind of lean.
Yeah,
when the humps feel water, they kind of lean, so they're not sticking up. But they jumping over them sideways. They lining them up and jump. Camel jumping, shovel racing. They literally sit on shovels, hold on to the shovel, and slide down the icy hills. First
we do that. We've been doing that. They ain't no. We didn't took cardboard.
But not on a shovel. This is on a shovel. Shovel racing.
That's right, we ain't got no shovels in the hood.
Air pulling. They strap one ear up, and I'm not bullshitting you. They strap the ear and they pull back. The heads pull back on each other's ear till somebody gives up. I'm not just put a string around my ear and then your ear, and then we just face each other and we just pull back until somebody ear. All right, here we go.
Here's who would win that? The guys that be having the big earlobes. You ever seen them? They would win that in with no contest.
Alfred E. Newman probably started that. If you don't know who Alfred E. Newman is, that's the Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine. Man.
What is it, Spy versus Spy?
Listen, here's another. This is a nasty ass one, and it's called toe wrestling. They literally sit there with their feet. Remember thumb wrestling?
Yes.
This is toe wrestling. Toe wrestling. They wrestle with their toes. All right, I only got a couple more. These last two are just wild to me. Extreme ironing. They take ironing boards and iron. I was looking at it on the internet. They on top of mountains. They anywhere extreme ironing. The craziest one I saw was these people with skydiving in the middle of the air ironing. Extreme ironing is a sport.
The iron ain't even hot.
Listen, they're ironing. I don't know if they getting the wrinkles out or
not. Where they plugging in the iron?
I don't know, but here's the last one.
Why they in the air?
Here's the last one, and this is the most dangerous and extreme one.
These sports ain't real, y'all.
These are real sports. Look them up. Look them up. Google it. Here's the last one. The most dangerous and the weirdest, and I don't know why anybody would play it. It's called ferret legging. They put 2 ferrets in your pants leg, tie the legs up at the bottom, and whoever can take it the longest is the winner.
How many golds have Richard Gere won with this sport? Come on, man. You know the gerbil.
You can't.
Come on, now you want to get sensitive? Come on, bro.
Not American Gigolo.
Yeah, Talib Kweli said we be up your ass like Richard Gere and gerbils. Come on now. These are ferrets. What's difference?
Anyway, extreme sports, y'all. Check them out. You might want to play some someday. Send us videos if you do, so we can talk about your dumb ass.
Those sports ain't real, y'all.
They real sports. All right, you know what? I did some crack research on this, and I don't have a research team. I did research on my own on these.
His grandson looked up that stuff, y'all.
Landlording, extreme landlording.
The landlord looked that stuff up. Gave him like, look, this is my copy. I want in the show today. Pop. All right, landlord, you got your piece in here. Let me do this music corner pretty quick. And this is a rarity. I actually own the album that I'm gonna talk about. This is Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. Now, I talk a lot about a lot of different music. I although I'm the hip hop professor, I do love other forms of music. I've talked about Stevie, I've talked about Prince and all. And so today I'm going to highlight a jazz album. Now, Kinda Blue is a studio album by American jazz trumpeter and composer Miles Davis. It was released in August of 1959 through Columbia Records. And for the recording, Miles used a sextet of musicians featuring saxophonist John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley, pianist Bill Evans, bassist Paul Chambers, and drummer Jimmy Cobb. Also with another pianist, Wynton Kelly. All of those guys I just named are legends in jazz. And so not only were they legends in jazz now, but they were part of this album. And so Kinda Blue has been regarded by critics as Davis's greatest work. It's his most acclaimed album and became, along with Davis's 1970 album, a lot of people know this one, Bitches Brew, his best-selling record, cementing him as one of the most successful jazz artists in history. Kinda Blue has been lauded as one of the most influential albums in the history of jazz. One reviewer called it a defining moment of the 20th century music. Several pieces from the album have become jazz standards as well. And Kinda Blue is consistently ranked among the greatest albums of all time. If you try to find Kinda Blue, it's very expensive in stores. This particular album, it was a gift to me. I didn't pay for it, but it was $250. And so there's So What, Freddie Freeloader, Blue and Green. There's a song on here that probably some people know. If you ever seen Mo Better Blues, there's a scene in the movie where Denzel Washington, his character Bleak, he's practicing, and one of his girlfriends, Clark Benacourt, comes up to the apartment, and they're sitting in the chair and they're spinning around, and this music's playing. That song's called All Blues, and it's from this album, Kinda Blue. I call this meditation and study music. I always say, if you are a music lover and you claim that you have good music in your collection, every music lover should have Kinda Blue in his music collection. CD, the vinyl, whatever you can get your hands on. But this is a great album. If you don't love jazz, this will make you at least like it a lot. Kinda Blue, Miles Davis. Take a listen.
Nice. I'm not a jazz person, but I definitely know who Miles Davis is. I've listened and heard his impact on the music industry, especially the jazz industry. And my CEO, Al Hutchinson at Visit Baltimore, is a huge Miles Davis fan. Okay. And so at any point you can walk by. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. At any point you can walk by his office and he'll be playing some Miles Davis inside his office anytime.
Yeah, definitely. So he probably has that in his collection. So yeah, if you want to show off for people, go out and get some Miles. Get that album in particular. It's the album for all just music lovers. And so we're at the part of the show that everybody loves. Come on, yo. I can go and start us off with a come on, yo. Come on, Noah Lyles. I was thinking about what I was going to do. I knew I was going to do something in the Olympics. I was going to do the breakdancing, but everybody's been on breakdancing for a minute, so I'm going to let the breakdancing go. But if you remember, American sprinter Noah Lyles went viral last summer with his comments about using world champions to describe the winner of the NBA Finals. Now, this was his quote. What hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals, and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. Now, needless to say, Calvin, his comments placed a target squarely on his back as he headed into the Paris Olympics. And he won the gold medal in the 100-meter by a photo finish, but he failed to win the gold in his specialty, the 200 meters, finishing with the bronze medal. It was later revealed that after the race, he had COVID, and this may have impacted his performance, but oh no, it did not stop people from bombing on him. And meanwhile, the U.S. men's basketball team, they won the gold medal in dramatic fashion behind a barrage of threes from Steph Curry to beat France. Now, last week, Lyles appeared on the Uncle Shay Shay nightcap show with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson. And he continued to double down on the hateration, holleration in his dancery against the NBA. While complaining about the fact that he has received no love in his homeland of America for his achievements, Shannon asked him, now, let me ask you this, Noah. He asked him, is Nikola Djokovic one of the best players in the world? And you know how he responded, Calvin? He said, hold on, I have to be honest. I don't know who that is. Now, come on, yo. How are you going to be talking about the NBA is not the world, and you don't know the best player in the NBA is a person that's won the last 2 MVPs in the league, who's from Serbia, another country. But you bombing out, they're not world champions, but you don't know who the best player is in the league? Come on, yo. I think some people are just doing stuff for cap. You know, they're doing it to get clicks. They're doing it to get views. And it's obvious that we don't have to listen to Noah Lyles anymore because he doesn't even know who the best basketball players is. He barely even knew who Giannis Antetokounmpo was. Oh, yeah, I heard of him. But once he said he didn't know who Nikola Djokovic was, it's like, yeah, you know, it's like when you're in a barbershop and you having a debate with somebody and they say the wrong name for the person, they pronounce their name wrong. They say something that's totally off the wall. When I hear that, I just stop arguing. I just stop like, okay, that person really don't know what they're talking about. And so Noah Lyles, you don't know what you're talking about. And so come on, yo, shut up. Don't talk anymore. Let's worry about winning races, all those things, and you know, saving your Adidas deal, all that stuff.
Barely won the 100, didn't win the 200, which is his sport. Did get the bronze medal, got wheeled off because apparently he had COVID, but was seen in the club the very next night. So I guess COVID wasn't that bad. Yeah. Doesn't know who Jokic is. It said he knew who Doncic was, said he knew who Giannis was, but clearly you do. And how can you double down if they just won the gold medal? Then why can't they say they're the world champions then? Like, right. and the NBA is the world now. Yeah. This isn't the NBA.
The best players 90s. In the world come to the NBA to play.
Doncic,
LeBron and AD Giannis. And all these other guys are not going to Europe to play basketball with the best players. The best players in the world come to the NBA, which is this world standard of high level of professional play.
That which is everyone in the world would agree with.
Yes, everyone in the world would agree that, except for Noah.
Except for Noah. the guy who wears nail polish, but I'm not going to talk about his fashion. But I will talk about how he threw his woman out there who ran for Jamaica and said that she gave him a lot of Jamaican secrets. Now she's getting a whole bunch of hate. Yeah. Why don't you protect your woman? You worried about the wrong things, bro. You worried about the wrong things, bro. Yeah, Noah Lyles. I don't know who's worse.
I'm not gonna lie. I have to admit, I was rooting against him because I see he's a hater. I was rooting against him. He's a hater.
He's a hater.
You know, like people would root against me because I hate Dion. I don't hate Dion.
Well, let me jump and I preface my homeboys about this. My come on, yo, is to my crew. not just my crew, but the crew, our crew. We got a little crew that we go to the Oreo games with, and we added one to the crew. Our boy Brian Donald, better known as Lil B or just Lil B. We added one to the crew. But listen, every time we go to the games, I'm always talking about a player, and then when he just happened to mess up, and here they go every time. Oh, that's your boy, Calvin. That's your boy. On the text message, that's your boy, Calvin. Look at Calvin, boy. Look at Calvin, boy. That, you know what? And I'm tired of it, and I'm about to lay down my diss track. And let me my quick diss track.
Oh, God.
It ain't on the Kendrick Lamar level, but you may have heard this song before, but I've slightly changed the words around just to speak to the crew. Listen, I'm so sick of the crew doing just dissing me, trying to tell me who I should like and who I shouldn't like. Yeah, listen, we not having it no more. As a matter of fact, this is for the crew.
This is a mess.
Why the crew coming down on me, trying to tell me who my favorite O is supposed to be? I know they only tried to help me out, trying to show me what the O's are really about, but this time I'm going to choose on my own. So why don't the crew just leave me alone? Garland, Jason, B, and J, if I like a player, who cares what you say? I'm sick of y'all telling me who my favorite Oreo should be. I know who let's go Mateo, let's go Urias. They my guys. They my guys. And y'all try to tell me who I'm supposed to be. So come on, yo. Come on, crew. Leave me alone.
This message is provided by the president of the Ramon Urias fan club.
Don't forget about Mateo.
Yes, and Jorge Mateo fan club.
What's my boy? Not my boy Cano. Don't forget about he been my boy for 3 years. I've been telling him. I'm telling they all that's there go Calvin boy.
That's Calvin boy. He was ready to make him the closer. We might need to move Batista out of the closer role and make Cano the closer.
Where Batista at now? Where Batista at now?
He's on injured reserve. He's out.
Where
and what's Cano doing? What's Cano?
Where Cano at? He's still playing.
Giving up home runs.
He's still pitching and looking at striking dudes out and giving them
pitching in the sixth inning. Pitching in he can't close. This is his opportunity to become the closer. He can't even get to the 7th or 8th inning.
When Mateo gets better and Urias is starting to heat up again, we going to the World Series. We need all three of them. Y'all want to stop telling me talking about All-Star Jordan Westberg. Nobody care about All-Star Jordan Westberg.
All-Star third baseman Jordan Westberg. We're waiting for you, Jordy. And Jordy loves the Lord. I went to faith night. He's a Christian. He loves the Lord.
Him. We don't care about the milkman. Listen, I should have added Cedric Mullins there, but Cedric Mullins is all our boy.
Because he only black guy on the team. But Ceddy, he having a rough year. But Jordan Westberg. I went to faith night and he proclaimed his faith and all. I meant to try to invite him to my church, but I'll send him a letter.
Oh, I forgot you.
Get the bishop to pray on his hand.
Yeah, I forgot you a VIP in the wine festival. You know what? Thank y'all for joining us because I can clearly see right now that Garland has let this go to his head.
My friend.
We're live on YouTube. You can see us on all the podcast platforms. If you have Spotify, you can definitely see our faces there and see us making faces right now and all kinds of stuff. And let me hit this outro so we can go home because I got things to do. Actually, we are home, so we can get off here.
Yeah.
You have been listening to
now we can answer the phone calls. People calling and whatnot.
The show was produced and written by Calvin Coates and Garland Thomas.
And Mateo calling me right now saying thank you
on all
for
of your
standing up for us. Well, they saying it like this. Thank you for standing up for us.
Thank you.
Well, that's
Gracias,
my
Calvin. Gracias.
Gracias. Later, Garland.
All right, bro. Peace.